So we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way. That's a line you might expect to see maybe in The Godfather or Goodfellas, or hear from some mob boss, or maybe from this.
You want to do it the easy way or the hard way?
You would not expect to hear a line like that from the chairman of the Federal Communications Commission, but this is what Brendan Carr had to say about Jimmy Kimmel, the comedian, the late night comedian.
But frankly, when you see stuff like this, I mean, look, we can do this the easy way or the hard way. These companies can find ways to change conduct, to take action, frankly, on Kimmel, or, there's going to be additional work for the FCC. Again, there's actions that we can take on licensed broadcasters. And frankly, I think that it's really sort of past time that a lot of these licensed broadcasters themselves push back on Comcast and Disney and say, listen, we are going to preempt. We are not going to run Kimmel anymore until you straighten this out, because we licensed broadcaster, are running the possibility of fines or license revocations from the FCC if we continue to run content that ends up being a pattern of news distortion.
So Carr's responding to comments he didn't like on Jimmy Kimmel, in Jimmy Kimmel's monologue, and he threatens the show. He goes beyond we can do it the easy way or the hard way to suggest that local broadcasters should band together and refuse to air Jimmy Kimmel, and if necessary, the FCC will take action. Now, the FCC has the power to suspend the license of a news agency or a broadcaster, but it does not have the power under the First Amendment to cancel a show because it doesn't like the content of that show. But nevertheless, the threat by the FCC chairman, the urging by the FCC chairman that local broadcasters refuse to carry the show carried a lot of weight, because the next thing you knew, Nexstar, which owns dozens of local broadcast stations, says it's going to stop airing Jimmy Kimmel. Now, why would Nexstar do that? Nexstar wanted to merge and acquire a lot of other stations, and it needs the approval, yes, the FCC. So the head of Nexstar, here's Brendan Carr saying local broadcasters take action against someone who's a critic of the president, and they do. And not just Nexstar, because Sinclair Broadcasting, very conservative ownership group of another big bunch of affiliates, they decide they're not going to be outdone by Nexstar. They've got their own mergers and acquisitions they're interested in. So they say they're pulling down Jimmy Kimmel's show. And within a short period of time, Disney, ABC caves, and they pull Jimmy Kimmel off the air. So you have this censorship, and it's not, of course, in isolation. They pulled Stephen Colbert off the air next year, and why? Because Paramount, the owner of CBS, which airs the Stephen Colbert Show, Paramount wants to merge with Skydance, and the FCC was threatening that merger unless basically they did what the president wanted. In that case, the president wanted a payoff. He wanted settlement of litigation he had initiated against CBS over how they edited an interview with Kamala Harris, a completely bogus lawsuit. But CBS decides to pay him $16 million, and then CBS decides they're going to cancel Stephen Colbert, and magically, days later, merger approved. Now, as you might imagine, Jimmy Kimmel's colleagues, like Stephen Colbert, are coming to his assistance, and not just his assistance. They're coming to the assistance and rescue of the First Amendment. Here is what Stephen Colbert had to say about this.
This decision came after senior executives at ABC, Disney, and affiliates convened emergency meetings during which multiple execs felt that Kimmel had not actually said anything over the line, but the threat of Trump administration retaliation loomed. As one source at ABC put it, they were pissing themselves all day. Oof. On the bright side, that proves Disney is #1 in streaming. Thank you. Thank you. Now, this may seem bad, but Carr was quick to reassure everyone, posting, "While this may be an unprecedented decision, it is important for broadcasters to push back on Disney programming that they determine falls short of community values." Well, you know what my community values are, Buster? Freedom of speech. Or...
And here's Jon Stewart.
Shut the up! Yay! You may call it free speech in jolly old England, but in America we have a little something called the First Amendment. And let me tell you how it works. There's something called a talent-o-meter. It's a completely scientific instrument that is kept on the president's desk. And it tells the president when a performer's TQ, talent quotient, measured mostly by niceness to the president, goes below a certain level, at which point the FCC must be notified to threaten the acquisition prospects for billion-dollar mergers of network affiliates. These affiliates are then asked to give ultimatums to the even larger megacorporation that controls the flow of state-approved content, or the FCC can just choose to threaten those licenses directly. It's basic science.
And here's a snippet from a Dutch show giving you a sense of what they think Disney is going to look like in a few years of MAGA censorship.
Dus de show van Jimmy Kimmel is van de buis gehaald door Disney, omdat Donald Trump met de hulp van een behulpzame toezichthouder bezig is om iedereen die kritiek heeft de mond te snoeren. Trump heeft al die bedrijven dus echt totaal in zijn zak zitten. En zelfs het grote Disney is dus als de dood voor Trump. Alles moet nu gaan zoals Trump het wil. Alles moet MAGA worden. En als je naar de nieuwe plannen van Disney kijkt, dan kun je dat ook wel een beetje zien.
Our nation is changing. In order to ensure the continued provision of high-quality works to our audience, the Walt Disney Company acknowledges the necessity of adapting our content.
We bring you a whole new Disney. Hakuna Matata. There are new stories to be told. Oh, Belle, you're so hot. If you weren't my daughter, I'd probably be dating you.
I can show you the world.
So we now have two late-night hosts who are the victim of this censorship, who are the victim of this Trump extortion, really, of media companies that their bigger businesses will be threatened if they don't take prominent critics off the air. Now, lest you think there was something else involved, this is the president's reaction to all this.
Jimmy Kimmel is not a talented person. He had very bad ratings, and they should have fired him a long time ago. So, you can call that free speech or not.
That's right. He's gleefully celebrating that they have pulled Jimmy Kimmel off the air. And not just that, but he wants them now, he wants another network, NBC, to pull off Jimmy Fallon and Seth Meyers. So this is where we are in Trump's America. It starts early on in the administration when Donald Trump proposes the stupid Gulf of America idea, and the Associated Press doesn't want to use that terminology. They continue to talk about the Gulf of Mexico. And so the AP reporter is disinvited to cover certain White House events. And then it continues with the president suing the Wall Street Journal because they had the audacity to reveal some of the relationship between the president of the United States and a pedophile known as Jeffrey Epstein. So the president is suing the Wall Street Journal and he's suing Fox. And you see one after another, these companies just capitulating. Now, I will say this, the concern over the FCC's actions, these mafia-like actions, is not confined to Democrats. Here's what Ted Cruz recently had to say on a podcast.
No. Look, I like Brendan Carr. He's a good guy. He's the chairman of the FCC. I work closely with him. But what he said there is dangerous as hell. And I got to say, he threatens it. He says, we can do this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way.
Yeah.
And I got to say, that's right out of Goodfellas. That's right out of a mafioso coming into a bar going, nice bar you have here. It'd be a shame if something happened to it. But let me tell you, if the government gets in the business of saying,
what you
we
can and
don't
can't
like
say
what you, the media, have said, we're going to ban you from the airwaves if you don't say what we like. That will end up bad for conservatives.
Republicans and conservatives ought to realize that if we go down this road, Do they want to invite a Democratic president and a Democratic chair of the FCC to start pulling conservative shows off the air, or do they want them to pull the license of Fox off the air? Is that where we want to see America go? Down that road, down that Kremlin-like road of censorship. Now, Richard Nixon tried to prevent one of his critics from getting licenses to broadcast, but he never succeeded, and he certainly never engaged in the wholesale effort we see Donald Trump undertaking to leverage all the power of the federal government to go after his critics. Now, I'll tell you this, well, actually, I'll let you watch this instead. This is the last appearance I made on Jimmy Kimmel. This is what I had to say about this campaign to silence and intimidate the president's critics.
Are you ever, or at this point, are you surprised by anything?
I am surprised just how quickly they have created a climate of fear. I wouldn't have thought it possible, but by going after universities, they're intimidating other universities. By going after certain press organizations, they're causing others to self-censor. By going after certain law firms, they're causing other lawyers to not want to take cases if they think it will be retaliated against by the administration. Companies, towing a Trumpian line because they're worried about losing government contracts. I would not have thought it possible to so quickly create that climate of fear. And we have to band together, we have to speak out, we have to push back, we have to show courage. The dictator wannabes, this is part of their playbook. And the only way to defeat it is by standing strong and saying basically, screw you, I won't be intimidated.
Today.
So thanks for watching tonight's video. We started doing these nightly videos as a way of identifying something really important that happened today or this week, what we should make of it, and how we can fight back. As you can see, I like to include movie clips. If you have any suggestions for other movie clips I should include in future videos, please share them with us. And thank you for following along.